Hello there, my friends. How's everybody doing today? I hope the sound is okay. I'm trying something new. Forgive me. For all these years, I've been making YouTube videos using the onboard built in camera mic. And let me just tell you that I'm well aware of the low quality of the video sound, and I know how important it is to have good sound in videos. Um, and the reason why I never put more effort into it is because I had honestly lost hope with YouTube. And I'm going to tell you my story of how I got my faith back in YouTube, at least in my experience on YouTube, and also to give you the best advice that I've ever got. And, often I'm reluctant to give advice. I'm the kind of guy who I'll give advice to people, of course. But over the years, I've learned that when people ask, hey, what should I do for this or for this, it's very difficult to give people an idea of what they should do with their lives and their circumstances because it's very unique. And the reason why I keep making YouTube videos is because I enjoy giving people advice on life. But also, there's a part of me that says, how arrogant can you be to think that you know what's best for anyone else's life? And yet, in my heart, it just feels right. So I'll start off with the best advice that I've ever got, and it is something that I got on YouTube from one of my subscribers, an older gentleman, I imagine. I don't recall how old they were. I don't recall what year it was, but it was a long time ago when I first started my channel. And I was very into the occult, discovering, the new age type of kind of inner understanding and self-help, reading all these books about the holographic universe and 2012 and, all these things. And I took it all with a grain of salt. I mean, read the Illuminatus trilogy when I was, like 18, along with Behold a Pale Horse, which is a major conspiracy book. And I had all these suspicions, and I went through this long period of conspiracies, thank goodness, before the internet came along, because otherwise I would have sounded like a lunatic looking back at my oldest videos. But even some of my earliest videos were prepper videos and talking about things that maybe I had a little more faith in than I should have. And so my best advice that I've ever received, to get to the point here, is don't think too much. And I've thought about this for the past 10 years. Don't think too much. How could somebody tell me don't think too much? What are you talking about? Thinking is how you get things done and understand the world. They're both true. They're not mutually exclusive. You spend a period of your time learning and thinking and processing, and the whole goal of that processing should be to learn to let go. In other words, you learn how to live your life in a way where you don't have to worry about tomorrow or yesterday. You learn how to program your thoughts to where you don't have to worry about things that may happen or that you have no control over. That's hard. It's a lot harder than we realize. And as stable as I thought I was in my 30s, I went through, in my mid-30s, I kind of hit a anxiety wall. And, it's funny because I watched a few YouTubers. What got me my faith back in YouTube is I discovered a few new channels of people who were talking about things that I felt I could relate to, and they were talking on a level that one of the channels, I'm going to hopefully post some links to the channels, but one of them was a guy named Struthless. It's ruthless with an S at the beginning, and or an ST. Anyway, I think that's what it is. I just found his channel a while back. I think he's like around 30, and he is an artist, and he makes videos about drawing pictures. And he's gone through this process of how he was sharing on Instagram, and then he couldn't stand it anymore, so he deleted the app, and he talks real. Real talk is what I'm all about. And it's really hard to have real talk when there's so much bullshit out there. When you have a world of influencers, when influencer marketing is considered respectable in any way, shape, or form, it's really hard to take the internet seriously. Every time I click on YouTube, it's an ad for something ridiculous. It's hard to get around that, but also there's a part of me that realizes that's just the world we live in. If you're smart, you can avoid ads and just go on with your life. But I guess maybe there's a part of me that says, well, why can't I sell out? Why does my heart tell me I can't just sponsor a product or use ads on my channel? And I beat myself up over it because I think, what's important to me is different than another person. I don't like money. I don't give a shit about money. But I also have a wife and 3 kids and a home and bills like everyone else. And so I have to pay these things. My dream is to follow my passions, which brings me, I guess, to my second piece of advice, which is just start, or just do it. Just get up and start doing things. This is something I know, but I've been fighting because over the last year and a half or so, I've maybe about at least the last year, I've had serious difficulties in getting motivated. And I've been going through a stage where I just can't get up and just do it. But I might be motivated to make a video or take notes, but it's not the things I need to do. And the things you need to do are the repeating daily occurrences that we have to fucking do. We can't ignore them. So, if you think too much, it's hard to get anything really done. But if you don't think enough, you can't get anything done. And sometimes you just have to get up and start. The one thing, I guess, I'm going to try to cover a few different thoughts in my head and put them into a coherent form by the end of the video. But, excuse me. The one thing I've learned, and I will not edit that out, and that's one of the other things about YouTube, and I'm going to get into that. I'm not good at editing. I don't have any programs. I don't even have a decent computer, and I don't have the skills to sit there and slap edit everything together and put a bunch of amazing graphics. A lot of channels do, and I think it's fucking awesome. I think it's great that I can watch some of these YouTube channels that actually put so much time and effort. I know how long it takes to make these things. But then again, a lot of them have 1 million subscribers and a production team of 10. And sure, I would love to do that, but it also means that, in other words, I could never compromise my integrity or my beliefs or my thoughts in order to fit somebody else and their idea of news or media. Like working for, say, a YouTube channel where I'm talking but I'm giving somebody else's speech. It'd be very difficult for me. But the one thing I've learned is this: you can't please everyone. Somebody will always hate you. It's guaranteed. I can't get away from it. It doesn't matter who you are. And that was the other piece of advice I wanted to share. I read that somewhere, I don't recall, several places, but that somebody will always hate you, think you're a jerk or arrogant or a prick or whatever it might be. Fuck them. It's not worth dealing with haters. If you want to have a YouTube channel or anything like that where you have several people watching you, there will always be one person that wants to get attention by being that guy. Or sometimes a person has a legitimate gripe and they're calling a person out, me included, and I totally respect that. But once you get past that, you realize you can't please everyone. Then you can just live your life and just do what you need to do. And so another piece of advice, this one was very important, and Struthless, as I mentioned his channel, he brought this back up in a video I watched the other day, and it reminded me of something I'd learned before, and that's the idea. We're reinforcing things we already know by listening to each other, and that's what I love about YouTube, as compared to the rest of bullshit social media, Twitter, Facebook. I don't have a Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, and I probably won't. That means that I'm going to be the guy who's limited by just using YouTube, but at least I can express myself properly. But stick to one temple. If you build several different temples just partially, you'll never complete anything. And this is one of the things I have struggled with my entire life. I have so many hobbies. I was a carpenter for a decade and a half. I can build a house, right? Or I can build custom boxes or cabinets. I can do finished carpentry. But I'm also into writing music. I play bass guitar. I play guitar. I sell herbs. I'm into writing. I love making YouTube videos, obviously. And I make resin jewelry, Fimo jewelry. I like working with leather and metal. How do you decide what to choose? How do you pick something when you're an artistically minded person? Pick something and stick with it. What inspired me about Struthless is some piece of advice that he gave, and it was about he was talking about how he asked somebody else for advice, and this came to mind. Um, he asked somebody, an artist, he's like, how much time do you spend on your craft? And he's like, well, every day. He was surprised by that. And he asked the guy, he's like, well, what's your advice for being successful in what you want to do? And he said, do it every day. And he's like, okay. So do it every day and do the same thing every fucking day. And I thought about that. That's what I've been doing for 10 years on YouTube. Anyhow, the story with him is that he drew this particular bird, an ibex, and he drew it for like a whole year every day, and it turned into this whole thing, and he ended up painting murals of it, selling shirts and paintings and prints. Because if you stick with one thing long enough, then you can get good at it. And for me, YouTube was an issue where I thought, I can get good at this, but I'm not good at editing. I know how to talk. And so I kind of lost faith. And that's why, over the last few months, I've really thought about just abandoning it. And then I thought, no, these are my people. You guys are my people. You gals, you guys, you people. It was funny because I saw this thing the other day about somebody who got offended by people saying you guys. And I was like, that's another part of the problem, is that you have to watch what you say. You get called out by these extreme PC babies that want to assume that if you say one thing, you're somehow racist or hateful or ignorant of the world's plight. Look, I know the world's suffering. Okay, we all know what's going on out there. But we can't sit and dwell on it every day and be afraid to talk about things that are important. So I feel like there's a certain censorship of language, which was another reason that I kind of lost faith in YouTube for a bit. But even through this whole, what you would call the YouTube apocalypse, where they were just completely cutting out people's videos, deleting channels, I was one of those people. Last year I had my channel deleted for 2 months, I think, and the year before it was deleted for a while too. And I had to beg and plead with YouTube and say, look, my video was informational, not offensive, and it was about Kratom. Those are the ones that got it banned. And so since then I've been afraid to talk about drugs. And so it's a frustration inside. You're like, I'm censored. I can't talk about certain things. But, and along the issue of that, I wanted to talk about substance abuse and how it's another thing is to open up, be aware of your own shortcomings and your own addictions and how they affect us. It's very hard to open up to people. And I have revealed a lot about my own private life over the years. And then maybe that's why I get, a little bothered when people try to call me out on my personal life. Somebody said the other day, you don't like being told what to do. And I said, no, I absolutely fucking hate being told what to do. Fuck you. I don't, who would want to be told what to do? I have lived my own life. I'm 44 fucking years old. I've grown up in this world just like the rest of you. And I know what I think is important. If you don't agree 100%, that's fine. That's what life is about. I don't expect to agree with everyone, and I'm not going to please everyone because that's not reality. But, it seems cheesy to even talk about this, losing hope of talking, on YouTube. To me, it's akin to any other interest or hobby or passion. You want to share things with people, whether you're an inspirational speaker, maybe you're an author. It doesn't matter. It's the same kind of thing. But a lot of folks say, well, it's not work. Making videos isn't work. I agree on that. If you consider work to be, lifting coal and hiking out of the cave. I mean, what is work? Is sitting at a computer and drawing pictures for graphic design work? Depends on how you perceive things. Work has many facets. For me, I want to share things with the world, but it seems cheesy. It seems like it's not work. And then you deal with criticism. You deal with trolls, haters. Why have I stuck with it this long? Because I have variety. I've seen channels come and go. They have a subject they want to talk about. They lose interest. Then they feel awkward talking about new things. It's like, don't. Just go talk about whatever you want. That's what life's about. We're all learning here together. We just have to find the thinkers and avoid the influencers, which have ruined the internet. Basically, they are walking billboards, advertisements. I mean, Instagram and the yoga poses, the whole selling products through this, I was going to do a whole video about the Gwyneth Paltrow goop situation. Fuck all those people. If you're dumb enough to buy into that shit, you're just one of the idiots who has bought into marketing. And in today's, there's no excuse for it. You know, if you're one of the guys who goes out and buys Jake Paul merchandise, you buy the shittiest, crappiest merchandise made with like clip art that's put on shirts and then a signature, and they call that merchandise. Meanwhile, there are like smaller YouTubers who are making amazing shirts with like poly blend shirts that are high quality that people will want to wear, that actually have designs that they've hired artists to make. And so the kind of mainstream YouTube world has drowned out any hope for a lot of people of being noticed, recognized, or just even put in their proper place, you know, in the list. Because, and what I mean by the list is, you know, YouTube tends to make things trend where they can make money off of it. And that's how it works. I don't expect YouTube to promote all its creators. I mean, why would they do that? It's not like we built the channel. But anyhow, you just got to find the thinkers. And my thing is to sit here and share with you and help as many people as I can to see their own strengths. And over the last couple of years, I've realized another aspect is to see my own weaknesses. And I guess I don't need to have those pointed out because I'm well aware of them. I've already opened up to them. And that's one of the hardest things, is when you open up about your faults and people pick at you for it, it makes you want to withdraw more. And that's not just YouTube. I'm speaking in general. These things happen with family, with friends, you know. So the idea of just do it becomes harder as you age. If you're in your 30s now and you think it's hard, wait till you're in your 40s. They say you go through a point where you're just kind of like, whoa, I'm getting into my middle age. But you can climb out of it. But even if you're consciously aware of entering it, nobody escapes the midlife crisis. It might be a day, it might be a week, it might be a year. But you're going to have a moment where you're like, wow, what do I really want out of all this? And that's when it's time to refocus, restart, completely change the way that you do things. Stick to one thing, focus on, or a couple things, things that really move you. And don't be overwhelmed by the world around us that is changing so damn fast. You can do anything you work at. Doesn't matter if you're fucking 70 years old and you want to paint pictures, you want to draw. Go out and fucking draw. It doesn't take that long. Honestly, a lot of people say, oh, I wish I was an artist. You know what? Have you sat down for an hour a day for a year? If you do, that's 365 fucking hours that you spent painting or drawing. That is a lot of time. A lot of time. Guarantee you, if you want to draw people, you will be able to do it in a year if you use an hour a day. But ultimately, I guess the point of this is that we have to follow our heart. For me, say selling herbs or, selling products, it just is not really my thing unless I'm making these products. And I really have the dream of being able to sell my art, but it's not just physical art. It's what's in here. And I want to share those things without sounding like an arrogant prick. So I come on YouTube and I say, this is what I've learned. And if you gain something from it, you do. And if you don't, you don't. And I thank you all for coming along for the journey. I'll talk to you next time. As always, leave a comment. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. Thank you to my commenters. Thank you to everybody who's made this channel worth hanging on to. And I'll talk to you later. Karpa's channel. Yeah. Thanks for coming to Karpa's channel, yo. Yeah.